Wow. Would you look at that? Hey guys, it's Vex. Did you know that the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial? Final Fantasy XIV, great game, great story, and cool combat, if you like the targeting, I guess. With Dawn Trail around the corner, at the time of writing this, and the level cap going up to the big 100, I'm worried, and I'm scared. The Shadowbringers and Stormblood expansions kind of instilled the fear of God into me with the level cap increases. What's wrong with that, Vex? Don't you want more flashier abilities for your favorite job? Well, of course. But why am I not using my full kit 80% of the time? And how do I constantly keep forgetting that I don't have Hyoshoran Ryu at level 50? This isn't a video saying to completely get rid of level sync, though I know for a fact that many a caster are really angry about it for black mages, not only having to learn a completely different rotation every 10 levels, every expansion, but then getting nerfed and apparently they're less fun this time around. Yeah, my prayers go out to you. I can already hear the non-existent crowd. In fact, some of the older dungeons were not made for you having all the abilities. It would be too much shielding, too much healing, too much damage overall. The pruning of abilities is something that literally no one wants. The issue I have with the level cap increase with level sync is this. If you get your capstone, ultimate, big ability at 100, hours have you waited in queue, birthdays you missed to raid, hopefully not, and then roll a 50 dungeon, we are losing 50 levels worth of progress. Each job in Final Fantasy XIV has been designed with a set of skills that players learn and master over time. When level synced, a bunch of your abilities are thrown into the void, resulting in incomplete and often clunky rotations. This not only diminishes the fun of playing the job, but also disrupts the flow of combat. Players that have a lot of time into the game, who have become really good at managing their full set of abilities, are forced to revert to a basic, stripped down version of their job, which is unsatisfying. But the devs at Square Enix kind of have already decreased your stats when you level down with gear sync. And doing the old ultimates at level 70 with gear from the newest and most recent ultimates somehow are still close to enrages. Why do I have this paragraph twice? Why do I have that? It's funny too, because while you may say that the lower level abilities are meant for the lower content, I disagree in some cases. Why does Dancer walk around with a nuclear bomb in their pocket on this cooldown at level 15? I'm looking at you, Standard Finish. Why do some jobs not have a quote-unquote full rotation at 50? Like teaching you the basics of the job and the buttons that you're supposed to be pressing and then adding more abilities and OGCDs and such afterward. Why does Monk have a proper rotation at 50? But yeah, ignore the naughties and all that. But Dragoon doesn't get their last AoE buttons until level 72. My favorite job is probably Ninja. But why is it one of the worst leveling experiences I've ever had in any game? It teaches you to use Fuma Shuriken, which you get at level 30 because it's the only Mudra you have, only to realize that you should never use it at higher levels because Raiton is objectively better. And how about Dark Knight? Oh my god. What isn't about Dark Knight? TBN, the Blackest Night, is level 70. It's still level 70. You start Dark Knight at 50, which isn't so bad. But then 20 levels later of not having it, you get your quick tank cooldown while the other tanks already have theirs. And also telling your healers to just heal you more forehead along the way. Only to realize you have anti-synergy with white mages, dang near the only job combo in the game that has this problem. So when you finally roll roulette above 70 and get to play your job, you still might not even get to use it fully. Okay, but listen though, I mean that's just more of a game design problem. But still, Vax, what are you actually complaining about? Why change / get rid of / modify level sync? If they haven't gotten rid of it before in previous expansions, what makes you think they would do so now? This is my problem with it. They want everyone to play the old dungeons, the old trials, the alliance raids, and things of that nature. Nothing wrong with that. They even went back and changed a lot of the older dungeons to be more modern, and in some cases more difficult with updated mechanics, which is great. So who would be so adverse to the change if they did get rid of it? Would there really be that big of a crowd of masochists that love losing 50 levels worth of progress just for the sake of it? While the intention is to balance the gear and your abilities and the potencies to match the level of the content, the scaling still is not always effective. In some ways, like the nuclear bomb standard finish mentioned earlier, players may find themselves overpowered, making the content trivial and unchallenging anyway. In other cases, the scaling may leave the players feeling underpowered and less cool, let alone doing your normal rotation only to learn that half of it left to go get milk and isn't coming back. We have gotten used to it. That doesn't mean it needs to stay, or we need to get rid of it completely or something like that. This is just to throw this out there. Level sync affects the game outside of instance combat as well. Fates in particular are a big contender. They want the high level players to go help the low levels and go help the sprouts and stuff like that. But instead of allowing them to keep their toolkit and to show the lower levels how cool their job is, or maybe at lower levels there is two paladins, right? There's a gladiator and there's a paladin. You can say this is how cool your class looks at level 80, but instead you get to play just like me. Instead I get to play just like you, and I get to play just like me. Isn't that great? But level sync forces them to play at the pace the content was designed for, regardless of their skill and experience. This can lead to frustration for high level players who don't want to go back to those, low level areas and things like that, and low level players getting kicked in the kneecaps already from level 20 to 15, which is losing the little bit of improvement their character already had. Lastly, I want to touch on the fantasy, the final one, the level cap. Whatever, man, looking cool and feeling cool. You level your character and become a hardened adventurer, going from guy that showed up to work to saving the world twice, probably within a couple of weeks in some of these expansions. Unless you buy the boost, watching your character get more powerful and develop cool new abilities adds to the fantasy, the adventure, the way the game, I think, is supposed to be. But the game then detracts from itself and its own mechanics by taking them away from you for interacting with a system that you are guaranteed to be using, which is the last straw in my book. If you didn't have to roulette to get a bunch of your tomes, then who cares? It would be a system that people wouldn't use anyway, because choosing to nerf yourself wouldn't be fun now, would it? But the main form of getting tomes is through the duty roulette system. So you are bound to lose that 50 levels now or later, and you have to deal with it, regardless if you think that level sync is needed or if it's not needed. Vax, it's literally a couple of minutes, then you can go back to looking at your cat girls and cosplaying with your Demon Obliterator 2000, which is fine. But look at your bar. What do you see? Do you see a weak, frail cat girl who carries a sword 4 times her weight, swings it like a baseball bat, and tanks literal monstrosities in a bikini? Of course you see that. You see that all the time. But you're supposed to see a hardened adventurer, a monster hunter, a god slayer. And level sync literally, I feel like, defeats the purpose of that. Now after all that, yes, it wouldn't be easy whatsoever to implement a better, more lenient, or completely get rid of level sync.
Bruh.
This series is called Game Design is Hard, after all, but that doesn't mean we should completely forget the conversation. At least in my opinion. I don't think level sync is so bad that it completely takes away from the whole experience, even when you level down a lot. But its effects are going to be felt more now than ever before. Not many of you might see this video, but I hope it still springs something within the community. I honestly can't say that I'm an expert on game design, I just play them. But it can be better, it can feel better. And the taste in my mouth from losing 50 levels worth of progress and cool fun rotations won't be going away anytime soon. Final Fantasy has been my favorite series ever since I was a bab. The world, the characters, and the stories are tight, and 14 is no exception. This video is just the ramblings of a guy wanting to see some change, or maybe some discussion, or anything like that. Hopefully, you stuck around to the end. If you did, I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons on your way out if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't and completely disagree with me, then leave your hate comment, and thank you anyway. Thanks for watching, guys.